opinions expressed on the show do not constitute financial advice. Please consult a licensed financial advisor before making any investment decisions.
Welcome to Financially Focused. I'm your host, Denise Williams. This week we look at several ways to earn income in a challenging economy. From dividends paid by listed companies to new business opportunities on the international market, we offer a number of suggestions to boost your sources of income. But first, we go to Al Edwards, consulting editor of the Jamaica Observer, to find out the business stories making news this week.
Thank you, Denise. We had a very interesting week in Jamaican business. The PSOJ came up with a very, very good initiative. As you know, public sector workers are finding it very, very hard. So they basically have come up with this concept where they've got a number of entities, including Ultimate Court, ATL, and they want other entities to come on to have an e-payment card. So you become a member and you get discounts at the various centers. I mean, I think that alleviates the burden on the public sector, particularly their workers. And the aim is to go on forward and then extend that to pensioners, public sector pensioners, which is very good. It shows that the PSOJ is being proactive. They're not just giving missives and determinations and statements, they're actually doing something. Will there be a new tech city in Montego Bay? Well, Minister Philip Powell certainly hopes so, and wants telecom provider Digicel to bolster the number of call centers and other office space. Tony Haynes, who runs Cairo Cement, is very reticent, but if you know Tony, he keeps his cards close to his chest. As you know, they were really rocking and reeling not too long ago, perhaps last year, 2 years ago, but they've turned it around. Now, is this an indicator that there's a rebound in the economy? Because basically you could follow the cement to see how economies are doing. There's a bidder for the Palmyra in Montego Bay, which was slowly garnering the reputation of being a white elephant. Dunbar McFarlane, who's part of the group, which has expressed interest in it, and going back to the original model for what Palmyra was supposed to be. It would have been a mixed concept, condos, hoteling, conferencing. So going back to that, I think it got caught out of when we had 2008 and the global financial crisis. I think it got caught between a rock and a hard place. It had to weather that for a number of years. And I think people are expressing interest, well, what can we do with this property? How can we make it viable again? And so it bodes well. I mean, what it shows is that people can invest in Jamaica. Overall, Denise, it's never a dull moment in the Jamaican business scene.
Thanks, Al. From general business news, we turn to consumer news. What do you need to know to make better decisions in your personal economy? For that answer, we turn to Erica Crawford-Bryan with this week's Money Alert. Erica?
Thanks, Denise. First up in this week's consumer news, we turn our attention to Fuel Finder, an app for your Android smartphone, which provides information on gas prices around the island. To benefit, first you download this mobile phone app, which was created by former UTech graduate Garfield Koch. With this technology, you can compare gas prices in Halfway Tree to Hope Road and from points across Kingston to Montego Bay. This is a very neat tool to have you stretch your dollar. From gas prices to home prices. If you have put together a deposit but are daunted by the fees to process a mortgage, consider that competition in the mortgage industry means that you don't necessarily have to pay commitment fees. That's right. Talk to your bankers before you pay unnecessary fees. And still on the topic of speaking to your banker, while interest rates on credit cards are usually in the high 40%, competition has become interesting as one of our leading bankers has dropped interest rates to 29%. Again, reach out to your bankers and negotiate on your credit card interest rates. And that's it for the Money Alert of the week. I'm Erica Crawford-Bryan. Back over to you, Denise.
Thanks, Erica. From the news, we turn to investing. In our Buy, Sell, and Hold feature, Nick McIntyre of First Global Financial Services has 2 overseas stocks that are on the radar.
This week, you've moved away from local stocks to foreign stocks. Any particular reason why?
We're in a global village, Al. Investors should be international in their outlook.
Fair enough. Let's hear what you have as your buy this week.
First Global Financial Services believes Bank of America offers clients tremendous upside in the near to medium term. The stock price has been weighed down by its legacy issues and a mild US economic recovery. However, we believe that at the current price, the stock offers investors an excellent price point to buy into a tremendous banking and securities franchise, which includes more than $1 trillion of deposits and over 15,000 Merrill Lynch wealth advisors.
And what is even more interesting is the stock to watch. When a stock is on the financially focused watch list, it's a stock that we want to watch the earnings, performance, or the market in general before it becomes a buy.
That's right, Al. This week, our stock to watch is also outside of Jamaica. Citigroup is a stock we like for many of the same reasons that we like Bank of America. However, unlike Bank of America, Citigroup did not have its capital plan approved by the Federal Reserve. However, should the bank's capital plan be approved by the Federal Reserve, which we fully expect, we like this stock for investors looking for an undervalued stock with some legs that will benefit from a recovering global economy. As a result, while we like Citigroup, we think that investors could wait before taking a significant stake.
Thanks, Nick. And there you have it. 2 banking stocks for you to consider in your portfolio. Denise, over to you.
Thank you, Al. And thanks, Nick, for 2 interesting stock picks in the buy, sell, and hold segment of the show. Up next is the strategy session. Here we ask the experts to discuss income plays this week.
I throw the first question to Janice Robinson Longmore of First Global Financial Services. From your perspective, what industries are experiencing strong growth in Jamaica?
There are industries experiencing growth right now. There's some experiencing strong growth, not a lot. Our economy is expected to increase. The GDP is expected to increase by about 1.4% in the March quarter. So you can see from that it's not strong growth. But there are opportunities, especially with smaller businesses, to make money. Service-driven businesses, especially businesses that are servicing customers outside of Jamaica.
Well, I agree with Janice. The growth is not strong. I mean, we're coming out of a period of instability, and I think many businesses were very cautious about going into expanding their operations, but we're seeing some glimmers of hope. Tourism and its related sectors continue to be an area of growth, and I mean any area that provides support to the broader tourism sector is still experiencing growth. There are also some areas in niche manufacturing which show opportunity, particularly in the agro-processing sector. Jamaica continues to produce goods that are competitive in that space, particularly for export. And I think we'll continue to see areas of growth. Sauces, condiments, I mean, they continue to show potential in that area. Also, the creative industry sector, interestingly, provides a number of different opportunities. As you can imagine, Jamaica's brand is very, very strong, and we need to still find a way to leverage that brand in the international marketplace.
Where are the opportunities that investors are overlooking?
The opportunities that investors are overlooking, I think we focus a lot on your regular routine, stocks, bonds, whether it be government bonds or those types of traditional investments. And gone are the days when you can get rich off just investing in the government. There was a time, and investors did it because of a reason, when interest rates were so high that not looking at government investments was not the way to go. But now that we're seeing opportunities in business and commerce, there are opportunities. Companies now are a lot more interested in issuing bonds than they used to be. They're a lot more interested in different types of financial operations and financial services than what they were before. So because of that, I think the public is getting a lot more opportunity for venture capital investing, angel investing, investing in corporate finance types of structures, where you can invest in businesses that are smaller, that have challenges with capital, sourcing loans because of the fact that they don't have that proven track record. There are a lot of opportunities now to invest in businesses that are growing and will probably grow in a faster pace than the economy.
I think that it's fundamentally because there's no shortage of capital in this country. Investors just need to be aware of where the opportunities are. So it's not so much a case, are there opportunities? It's making the nexus between who needs capital and who has capital. I think the efforts by the Development Bank of Jamaica to put in venture capital legislation will go a far way in providing a framework for investors to get involved in small and medium-sized businesses. Because for a very long time, even though the opportunities were there wasn't the structure or the framework to enable investors to get involved in those small sectors and small businesses. And I think this will go a long way in making those opportunities real to investors.
Can I invest, sit back, and earn income from my investment portfolio? And can I finance the purchase of investments if I don't have the ready cash?
There are some equities trading on the Jamaica Stock Exchange that pay regular dividends. Usually the more regular ones would be quarterly dividends. That's a way, especially as you approach your retirement years, that what you want to do is to set up different income streams. So if you know, for instance, that you're going to be getting a dividend on a certain stock every quarter, that can be one of your income streams to supplement your income, especially if you have a pension. There are bonds that are available, whether through corporate finance or government bonds, where interest is paid on a regular basis, usually half yearly. There are also bonds where some of the principal will be paid with every interest payment. So there are opportunities to earn income in local dollars and in US dollars through investing. Yes, you can get financing to facilitate investments, but you have to be very strategic with that, because investments are risky. That's why they're called investments. They're not bank accounts. So with every investment, there's going to be a risk of some capital erosion, but there's also the opportunity for growth. So yes, you can borrow to invest. You need to do it wisely. A more prudent way is to invest continuously over time to build that lifestyle of investments, rather than just taking a lump sum once in a while and trying to make investments using that.
Thank you, panelists. I can say that you have equipped our viewers with information to build an income portfolio, even with the economic challenges that we face. Denise, back over to you.
Thank you, Al. Up next is the executive interviews. We'll take a break here. Stay tuned.
Today I'm with Stacey Ann Christmas, attorney at law at the Administrator General's Department's office. We will be talking about estate planning and forming a trust. Hello, Stacey Ann, how do you do today?
I'm well, thank you.
Tell me, what does the Administrator's Department do?
Well, the Administrator General's Department is a department set up by statute, an act of Parliament, and we have a very specific mandate. We administer estates and trusts. Most people know estates as really dead left, what somebody has left behind for their beneficiaries. And what we focus on is those persons who did not make a will, which seems to be quite a few of our Jamaicans. We have a seeming aversion to making wills. And also those where you have minors in those estates, so persons under the age of 18 and their persons did not make a will. So that's our focus. As well as we have some charitable trusts and some trusts that we have been named trustee by the person who created them. Okay,
so you have your work cut out for you. What are the ramifications of perhaps not forming a will? What happens to families? How do they go about navigating what comes after?
Well, legally what we call that is an intestacy, because there is no will. And as I said earlier, we focus on the estates where there are minor children. It can be quite disruptive to the child's life and to the spouse's life if there's a spouse when the gentleman dies, if there's a gentleman. or if the lady dies, because what happens is that they don't have ready access to the funds that the person has left behind. We have to go through a process called administration of the estate, where we have to apply to the court for a grant to put us into a position that we can collect the assets so we can assist the beneficiaries in their life. So you have a period sometimes of 52 weeks to a year and a half where we cannot give those beneficiaries anything because we have to wait for the grant of administration from the court.
In Jamaica, for instance, you leave a will and then perhaps an ex-girlfriend comes out of the woodwork, or someone claiming to be a child, or a cousin, long-lost cousin from China, for instance, says, well, look, you know, I'm claiming on this estate. How does one deal with that situation? You must come across those scenarios.
Indeed, it's a quite interesting field. What we have most times, however, is intestacy, as I spoke to earlier, so it's not the case of a will, but we have persons coming in daily saying, oh, I am this person's child, I am their spouse. You have 3 persons coming in to allege that they're the spouse. But the law is quite clear. You can only have 1 spouse. So that person must either come with a marriage certificate showing that they are the wife, husband of the deceased, or they have to get from the court a declaration of spouseship declaring that they're the spouse. So either way, we don't have the difficulty. It's something that is a matter of law that is for the courts if you do not have a marriage certificate. Now with the children, that also happens. You might have a nuclear family and after death, some other persons come out of the woodwork alleging that they are children. Now the law does not, discriminate whether you're a child of the marriage, before the marriage, after the marriage, during the marriage. What we're concerned with, look at the birth certificate. Is a deceased name on the birth certificate as a parent? If not, the child can go to the court and get a declaration of paternity.
Tell me, what happens in a situation where someone leaves some shares, for instance, and they pass and they haven't left a will? What happens in that case? I mean, for instance, I leave some shares, I pass away and I decide, for instance, that I bought shares in NTB and I'm going to leave them to the kids. But unfortunately, I pass without leaving a will. Do guide me on that particular instance.
Well, that's a usual instance. The first thing we're going to look at is the share certificate. Who is on it? Is it a joint account or is it just a deceased person whose name was on that account? If it is just a deceased person, then we're going to treat it like any other asset. We can either sell it or we can transfer it to the beneficiaries. And as I said earlier, the beneficiaries are dictated by law when you did not leave a will.
Stacey Ann, what's the best way to form a trust, and in what cases should one form a trust?
A trust is an excellent tool for estate planning, but my first caution to anyone who is going to go down that route is that you must seek professional legal advice. It's not something that you should enter into without legal advice. But what it allows you to do, if it is done properly, you can set up a charitable trust. We have many of those at the department, where if you have a special cause that is near and dear to your heart, it might be nursing education, it might be providing a hospital with some equipment. You can establish a trust and you can name the Administrator General as a trustee and we can administer that trust for you. The good thing with naming the Administrator General is that she has perpetual succession. So she will never die. There will always be someone in that position, and you're no doubt we have the best staff to manage your trust. You know, we have years and years of institutional experience. So it would be a good thing for someone to do, to create a charitable trust.
How can you best set up charitable trust in Jamaica?
Well, what I would suggest is that if someone has that as an interest of theirs, that they can come to us at the department and we can give them some advice. We can assist them in setting up the trust, create the trust instrument, the trust deed, or they can seek the services of a private attorney to do so. But definitely an attorney is necessary in that regard.
Stacey Ann, tell me, is there anything that Jamaicans should know about your department and any information you can impart?
What I would love persons to know is that estate planning is not something that you should be afraid of. If you'd like to make a will, you can come to our department and we will make the will for you. And right now there's no service charge for that. Also, if it is that you'd like to appoint us, you've made your will, you can appoint us the executor of your will, or if you want to create a trust, we can also be named the trustee.
That was some invaluable information imparted by Stacey Ann Christmas, attorney at law at the Administrator General's office, and I hope you can benefit from it.
And that was our executive interviews. We have more empowering information for you in our upcoming segment. for staying with us. We now turn to the roundup segment of the show. What should you do this week to make your financial circumstances just a little better? For this report, we go back to Al Edwards.
Mark, can I deposit my will at your bank for safekeeping?
Yes. Commercial banks do have custodial and safekeeping arrangements for your valuables. Your will is included. Other valuables such as jewelry, travel documents, whatever things of value that you find that a bank would be better positioned to secure and have readily available when you need it. You could speak with your commercial bank for those services, yes.
Stacey Ann, what if I'm overseas? What steps do I need to take to ensure the smooth passage of my assets in Jamaica?
Well, a will requires about 3 things to be valid, regardless of where it is that you're living. It must be in writing, and it must be signed by the person who is making the will, called the testator. And you must have 2 persons who are going to witness your signature. So wherever you are, whether you're in Jamaica, the US, the UK, Canada, wherever you can think of, those are the things that must happen for your will to be valid.
How do I set up my banking transactions if I live overseas?
Well, I think with the advent of improved technology, I think that is becoming increasingly easier. Certainly, you can access the information online, download forms, etc., and fill them out, get them notarized, and dispatched to your commercial bank or other financial institutions. I think once your account is established, there's also a range of electronic banking platforms which allows you to access, monitor, and manage your accounts with the commercial bank and other financial institutions.
Stacey Ann, any tips on how to set up insurance policies correctly for beneficiaries?
Well, most insurance companies have a provision where you need to name your beneficiaries. You can name 1 beneficiary, 2 beneficiaries, 3 beneficiaries, whatever it is that your insurance company offers. What you must ensure is that if your beneficiary predeceased you, that is, dies before you, that you go in and change who your beneficiary is. Because oftentimes persons do not do that, and then the money still falls to their estate.
Now, Mark, as a banker, you're a bit biased, but I still have to ask, should I even bother with a savings account?
Yes, persons do have both investment needs as well as transaction needs. So the savings account does allow for you to deposit funds and transact more readily on a day-to-day recurrent basis. So yes, a savings account, I think, would be a valuable tool in your investment arrangements. Interest rates, judging by the Treasury bill, certainly market interest rates have been trending up. We have been seeing some adjustments in the market, and commercial bank savings account rates remain fairly competitive.
Thank you, Miss Christmas. Thanks, Mark. And there you have it. Write a will and speak to your banker about keeping it safe. Also, if there is an uptick in interest rates, be sure to reach out to your banker to negotiate the best rates you can. Denise, back over to you.
Thank you, Al. And thanks to the panelists in the roundup segment of the show. This week on Financially Focused, we asked the experts to show us the money, and they certainly did. For the week ahead, we think viewers should consider their own personal economy and what are their key goals. Remember to always reach out to your licensed financial advisor and banker for support. I am Denise Williams, your host, and we would love to hear from you. Reach out to us on social media at Facebook/financiallyfocused, or send a tweet to Den's Wills, or drop me a line at dwilliams@financiallyfocused.com or creativeworksmedia@gmail.com. We look forward to seeing you next week on Financially Focused.
Opinions expressed on the show do not constitute financial advice. Please consult a licensed financial advisor before making any investment decisions.